In this last part of our lecture, let's discuss the vessels and the nerves of the sole of foot. Let's look at the arteries of sole. The foot is located at the end of the lower limb, and it is supplied with blood by arteries that extend from the leg and terminate in the foot. The posterior tibial artery, which supplies the posterior compartment of the leg, passes behind the medial malleolus deep to the flexor retinaculum and terminates by dividing into the medial and lateral plantar arteries. These terminal branches are the major arteries that supply the sole of the foot. Medial plantar artery. The medial plantar artery is the smaller of the terminal branches of the posterior tibial artery. It arises deep into the flexor retinaculum and passes forward deep to the abductor hallucis muscle. It ends by supplying the medial side of the big toe. It gives off numerous muscular, cutaneous, and articular branches along its course. As for the lateral plantar artery, the lateral plantar artery is the larger of the terminal branches of the posterior tibial artery. It arises deep to the flexor retinaculum and passes forward deep to the abductor hallucis and the flexor digitorum brevis. On reaching the base of the fifth metatarsal bone, the artery curves medially to form the plantar arch. At the proximal end of the first intermetatarsal space, it anastomoses with the deep plantar artery, a branch of the dorsalis pedis. The plantar arch gives off plantar metatarsal arteries to the toes. The lateral plantar artery gives off numerous muscular, cutaneous, and articular branches along its course. Veins accompany the sole's arteries. You can see how closely connected the arteries and veins are by looking at this illustration. Medial and lateral plantar veins accompany the corresponding arteries. They unite behind the medial malleolus to form the posterior tibial vena comitans. Let's look at the nerves of sole. The tibial nerve passes behind the medial malleolus deep to the flexor retinaculum and terminates by dividing into the medial and lateral plantar nerves. These nerves innervate the muscles of the sole as we have discussed earlier. Medial plantar nerve. The medial plantar nerve is a terminal branch of the tibial nerve. It arises deep to the flexor retinaculum and runs forward deep to the abductor hallucis with the medial plantar artery. It comes to lie in the interval between the abductor hallucis and the flexor digitorum brevis. Muscular branches to the abductor hallucis, the flexor digitorum brevis, the flexor hallucis brevis, and the first lumbrical muscle. Cutaneous branches, plantar digital nerves, run to the sides of the medial 3½ toes. The nerves extend onto the dorsum and supply the nail beds and the tips of the toes. Let's look at the lateral plantar nerve. The lateral plantar nerve is a terminal branch of the tibial nerve. It arises deep to the flexor retinaculum and runs forward deep to the abductor hallucis and the flexor digitorum brevis, in company with the lateral plantar artery. On reaching the base of the fifth metatarsal bone, it divides into superficial and deep branches. These nerves give muscular, cutaneous, and articular branches. That is all. We have finally reached the end of our video on the topic of lower limb, foot. Download the PDF file of this lecture here at sqadia.com.
Watch our medical videos anytime and anywhere. Download sqadia.com app now.